Welcome back, everyone, to a story of peace and love across the land. This is Reign of the Star Kings, the tale of House Ravenor. We've gone through Will, the Tyrant, founder of the Aegis mercenary fleet, and told his story of 4 major events alongside his wife, Starlyn Caladan. I had not anticipated in the pair of days between between that story and now, that I would end up becoming captivated by the circumstances surrounding Will's death without a successor, and the rise of whom I've chosen to name Kent Ravenor, the Broken, of dubious parentage, soft-spoken, and misty-eyed. Given the technology available to us at this point in time, frankly, the new emperor could be of any age. But I've decided he will be young, 19. And the circumstances behind his ascension and why he is of dubious parentage, I have already reflected on the family tree. So, Will and Starlyn did not have kids, and I thought about why it was that occurred. I considered the possibility that maybe they did have kids that didn't survive to any meaningful age, having died for one reason or another. But I've concluded, it is the position, the stance of the official historian, that Will simply did not want to have kids, and took steps to ensure he would not have children. Frankly, uninterested. Though he cared deeply about power and control, he saw the means to do so in other avenues, as I believe demonstrated in the acquisition of bizarre hand weaponry. This, of course, came as a surprise to his spouse, the head of a noble house known for intrigue. Yes, they married to further political power for both, but the empire yearns to have an emperor. They yearn to have a clearly defined line of succession that is integral for stability, as laid out in the game rules. And Will's complete, not just apathy, but extreme disinterest in having children, in progeny, in continuing that line of succession, came as a surprise for his spouse, and probably led to a series of discussions, and then arguments, and then subtle manipulations on Starlyn's behalf to, particularly as the decades passed, to try and exert pressures upon Will to the point where he almost just made a public announcement that he would never have a kid, but instead it just started ending people who kept bringing up the question of succession, preferring to leave it an open-aired question. Who would inherit the empire after Will's eventual death? I mean, that was going to happen, right? Like, no one can live forever. Eventually, Will would have to go. You just would need to decide who would inherit it all. And I see this as a tool through which he controlled his brothers, Santiago and Elliot. Like, no spawn of my loins will become emperor, but one of yours will. And Santiago and Elliot, sort of like you imagine like a Repo the Genetic Opera situation where the two of them are continually vying for the approval of their brother, the Emperor. And Will, by the way, thinks they both suck. Finds them both weak-willed. And is manipulating them both. Of course, like, someone's got to become the next emperor when he eventually dies, if he should eventually perish, right? But what he's seeing out of their behavior doesn't satisfy them. And their children? Yeah. No, they all suck. Maybe it will just make them stronger if he died without ever making a choice. Not that he would ever really die. As for Perry, is she really material? Maybe. Will hasn't made up his mind. There are far more interesting things to consider. For her part, Starlin found this the most important thing for her to consider, as, you know, part of what she thought she was getting through the marriage, the further political power for her both, as the head of the Caladan household, was furthering the Caladan household. Then, like, now they're fully intertwined in the blood with Ravenor, and then, like, a child of theirs would rule over both households, and that is not what has fucking happened. And her attempts to persuade her husband failed. And so she made use of Will's sister, Perry. Upon the Emperor's sudden, untimely demise in a land invasion of Alteros, to a rare and dangerous fungal infection whose name will probably be tethered to Will's for the rest of time. You know, the Imperial government, like, gathered together, like, houses major and minor, to decide the succession crisis, particularly during a time of war. And Perry said to Santiago, I do not wish for my children to rule, my 5 children, any of my 5 children, nor do I wish the title for myself. I will support you. And she said the exact same thing to Elliot. And when the various powers, major and minor, gathered, as Santiago and Elliot tried to maneuver for their own, like, political support, Perry came up to the grand podium of the Galactic Senate, or whatever the fuck equivalent, and said that my child is the son of the now deceased emperor. And the Imperial government said, what the fuck? And her brothers said, what the fuck? And Starlin said, it is true. I have audio and visual documentation from the deceased emperor himself stating that he had a child with his sister, and the genetic profiling to prove it with absolute certainty. And the Imperial government said, what the fuck? And Perry's brothers said, what the fuck? And so Imperial doctors came in, and the kid, in his late teens, was evaluated. His age, though, taking consideration how long Will and Starlin were married, Starlin said, long live the Emperor. And the Imperial government said, long live the Emperor provisionally until the war has been resolved. And Perry said, long live the Emperor. And Santiago and Element is like, are you fucking kidding? Long live the Emperor. And Kent, thus, in summary, became the Emperor. Selected, genetically modified, and given the kind of pampered upbringing for what Starlin and Perry designed designed to be their contingency plan, a way for them to both exert power over Cybrixia when Will met his demise. Who is Perry's father? Well, it's not Ian, some, like, member of some distant, weak noble house with whom she had her other 5 children. No, he's dead. He's dead. He died a while back. Is Kent's father Will? Is Perry Kent's mother? What is even happening? Listen, we gotta put all this shit aside. There is a war right now between Cybrixia and the Orion Collective. Long live the Emperor! But we'll revisit this. We'll revisit this. The office of the official historian is out here collecting evidence and attempting to avoid being murdered. He is doing his damnedest and writing secret files he's leaving to his successors in the office of the official historian. Bits and pieces of primary research documents he's collected and interviews he's done to be unearthed. Decades, if not centuries hence. When, this time has passed. But yeah, the contingency plan between Starlin and Perry to have a trump card that would ensure their power and position after Will's death, the tyrant's death, the tyrant who desired no heirs, the tyrant who thought he could possibly live forever, the tyrant who died in his land invasion, an invasion which ultimately turned out to be successful. Alteros has been taken. The shadowy weaponry having done its work. You can see, like, encounters between, like, Will and Starlin where Will's had fucking enough. He's like, if you try to bring this up one more time, I will have you killed. Don't you ever say this to me. Have whatever dalliance you desire, but bring no sour-fathered child into this home. Ever. Because the way he understood it is that they were using each other. But how he wanted to use her and how she wanted to use him, different. And there wasn't a real conversation about that, real decisions made before they married. And after they married, I mean, I suppose the Empress could have stopped being the Empress, but there's power there. Oh, the hard choices and decisions. Anyway, that brings us to Kent, the Broken, of dubious parentage, and I believe that properly explains the level of unstableness there. Prince Perry, we could say Princess Perry, but you know, I like to think of it the same way as the title of prince in a Vampire the Masquerade. No matter your gender, you're the prince. That's the fucking name. If you're the prince, you're the prince. There's no princess. Much like how in this, if you're the emperor, you're the emperor. There's no empress. Unless, you know, you're the emperor's spouse. Then you can be empress. And if you're the emperor's husband, you're the emperor consort? Anyway, yeah. Instability, unstable. Prince Perry is a mythomaniac, and this is, you know, known to a certain extent in the Imperial Court. It's certainly known to her brothers. The documentation is above reproach, though. Presented by Starlin herself, and surely she wouldn't admit such a thing unless it were true. Right? Right? Anyway, there's a war. There is other business to take care of, and this will have to be tabled for another time. Let's figure out Kent's spouse, shall we? Perhaps selected by Mom 1 and Mom 2 here. Perhaps a quick affair after he comes to power. Perhaps one of his own selection. Exerting his will such as it is. Maybe it's, you know, someone who can help him fix himself. Tradition demands this, but tradition has demanded other things that have not come to pass. You get back in my hand. You go together. 4 and 2. Offspring of a noble house barely remembered. Okay. Perhaps it is both the noble house and the offspring himself, themselves, that are barely remembered. Let's go back to our handy-dandy browser sheet. Offspring of a noble house barely remembered. And I'm thinking that Mom 1 and Mom 2 here have selected someone that they thought they could control the best. So maybe someone vapid. Someone who would just be excited to be in this position of being married to the Emperor. Someone who, like, you know, a minor house, and this advances her prestige considerably. And someone who is quite pliable, just like her husband. And like the head of this barely remembered noble house enters into agreements with Perry and Starlin, and thinks this will greatly advance the fortunes of this of his family, you know. Barely remembered. Probably like some mercantile household just struggling to hold on in the face of all these price increases, and maybe some investments gone wrong due to the escalation of tensions between Cybrixia and the Orion Collective. I am going to name her Erica Aurelius. I like how the formatting has changed, as like other like official historians have like took in charge. Yeah, they've taken charge. Yeah. Barely remembered. Pliable. Just happy to be here. Just happy to be here and quite pliable. Okay. We'll also write her name in. Kent and Erica. Huzzah. Got back your dice. Next thing we gotta do is figure out how many kids Kent and Erica will be having. Succession kinda got upended a bit here last time. Let's see whether it can avoid being upended due to a lack of children. If there are a lack of children, Perry and Starlin might take further action. The official historian will not elaborate at this time. We have 7, and we're at least having 1. 7 minus 6. We are having the 1. Okay. The 1. Just a 1. No heir and spare here. We'll name her Little Cleo. Great. Hey there, Little Cleo. What will her life be like with, basically, Grandma Perry and Grandma Starlin looming over the Imperial household? Has Starlin remarried during this time? I mean, she could only be expected to grieve for so long, right? And now that Will is dead for true, no children of hers could be. Yes, no child of hers could be involved in the inheritance, and certainly, I mean, she's had to swallow so much pride given the admissions that that occurred. It's a real sympathetic figure, and exceptionally good at engendering that sympathy and spinning it to her advantage. Yeah. She is, after all, still the head of House Caladan, and the show must go on there. Ooh, that's kind of fucking spooky. Whew. All right. How many of major events occur in the life of Kent? As we know, the war is raging in the background. A war which I think is even, despite the losses, despite the setbacks that Cybrixia has endured in its lengthy fall, culminating in the catastrophe at Erebus. The intelligence and the bizarre weaponry, combined with the newly crowned emperor probably being, maybe a little inept, putting the two empires at equal footing. Five events. The Broken will be here in some time. Whether the Broken will be in power, I don't know. 5 events. Let me write that down real quick. Event 1 of 5. Oh. We are still in Rise. Rise. We rising. If we get a repeat, and I remember that it's a repeat, I might adjust. If I don't remember it's a repeat, then it's not a fucking problem. I suppose. Where are we going first? 3 and 1. Leaders of the Empire's largest religion demand a say in important decisions affecting the Empire. Should they be given positions of power? All right. One moment. Leaders of the Empire's largest religion demand a say in important decisions affecting the Empire. Should they be given positions of power? I could tie this to the Navigator cast, but I don't find that appropriate. I don't think any religious significance is going to be tied to them in such a capacity that it would be the Empire's largest religion. I could, I would think that the largest religion would be some sort of polytheistic pantheon, probably unearthed, in the Exodus after the discovery at Erebus, the catalyst. Even though the Empire has shifted so much, in its rise once more, I would dare say that's become the largest religion. This wouldn't be, a militant group, not separatists, but yeah, I don't know what to name this polytheistic religion. I don't think I will give this a specific name as a result. If I come up with any clever details on that front, I will plug them in later. So, polytheistic religion. turgid with power. I think that's being too melodramatic. The most prominent religion of Cybrixia, a polytheistic revival of polytheistic practices, beliefs from the Erebus ancients, began to clamor for political power in the wake, shortly after the succession crisis. It's not even a succession crisis. I mean, Kent's the official child of Will. The crowning of the new emperor. However, the religion, could bring no military assets to the table. No. Like, Kent's decision here isn't really his so much as how Mom 1 and Mom 2 feel. I think Starlin, looks at the situation what can you do for us? What can you do for us? Starlin Caladan asked the Magister. The head Magister. Religion. She found their response unsuitable. And ultimately so did Emperor Kent. There was no time to bandy platitudes with what kind of it's an official historian, am I going to be there lending emotional judgment? The Imperial government Actually, I like that there. I thought about adding more sentences. No. You know, like cast judgment, how there's a war to win. We're going to leave that unspoken. I think what's most credible here is that this revival polytheistic beliefs, hey, we want to control what happens across the empire. And Starlin Caladan's "Okay, what can you do for us?" And their response, she scoffed at, nah, don't fucking think so. And the Emperor's no, I don't think so. We have a war to focus on and win. And that's that. Says a lot about the power dynamics upon, surrounding the throne. Yeah, I think so. Let's roll again. Two and three. New planets are brought under the control of the Empire. Their customs are very different from our own. Should such diversity be embraced or stamped out? Sounds like the war's going great to me. Woo! One moment. New planets are brought under the control of the Empire. Their customs are very different from our own. Such diversity be embraced or stamped out. The vibrant solar system of Kalimdor, home to 4 prominent planets of the Orion Collective, is brought under heel by Imperial forces. Fresh from the homeworld and eager for avenging the fall of Emperor Ravenor. Emperor Will. Never mind, how he died. The vibrant solar system of Kalimdor, home to 4 prominent planets of the Orion Collective. And you can imagine, you have, an agro world here. You have a factory world. You have, a world that's, rich in, semi-precious metals. I'd say you have 2 of those worlds, as a matter of fact. Yeah. So you have, common and semi-precious metals being mined. And then you have, food, being produced on a 3rd planet, and all that's flowing into the factory world, which is, combining that with, orbital shipyards churning out reinforcements for the hot war. And, Cybrixian, vessels, come in, they sweep the Orion Collective pieces, off the board, and then land invasion forces equipped with these bizarre weapons. And I don't think they're spread across, all of the troops, but special elite forces trained to handle these shadows in their hands. Come in and just, these new Marine barracks are, established here to control the populace. They're, the defenses are smoked. And 4 new worlds just brought into the fold of Cybrixia. And what happens with them? Their customs are very different from our own. Should such diversity be embraced or stamped out? There is neither time nor patience for whatever cultural differences, whatever socio-cultural, economic, religious differences, all right, to entertain the differences in OC society upon these worlds. There is a war to win, and martial law backed by shadowy weapons, by weapons of shadow. Ensure the populace's, if not adoration, then total obedience. Whoop. Did not mean to do that. Ah! Janked a window. There we go. Cool. So yeah, I think what happens here is that, like, the people on these planets probably didn't think they'd be, like, invaded and then defeated like this, but the intelligence is just too good. Like, the knowledge Cybrixia has is just so, like, strong. And, like, there's a great deal of reputation built up with Will Ravenor, the Tyrant, and how fiercely, like, these fleet admirals and, like, you know, star captains fight, and when an actual land invasion occurs, the OC did not have a great line of information on whatever the fuck these weapons are that are eviscerating their defensive structures. Like, I think the Forge world, you know, the industrial, like, complexes hold out the best. But the agro world and, like, the mining worlds just crumple. Not really having what it takes to present much of a challenge. And with them gone, the industrial world follows. And the Orion Collective, like, the reports they're receiving from stragglers and survivors and refugees fleeing, and I don't think, like, Cybrixian forces are very forgiving and tolerant of non-combatant forces. I think there's so much instilled in them from the Tyrant's rule, and I think so much comes down from Starlin, his wife, widow, and Kent doesn't really have the political power to change that dynamic. And the loyal, like, indoctrination programs brought in by Miriam remain. And ancient frustrations, you know, and, you know, from history of the beef between Cybrixia and Orion Collective are brought to bear. There is great devastation and hardship and heartbreak brought to these people. So the survivors that do come, like, flooding into, like the Orion Collective's core sector to their home world, to their courts, to report on, like, what's happened, a little overwhelming. And they don't have a great read on this time of whatever fucking hand weapons are being used. Like, you gotta defeat these Cybrixian forces out in space, because if they land, that's a huge fucking problem. What are the schematics for those? What even are those? There are no answers. Not yet. Only that they are shadowy and devastating. And not of this dimension? Huh. Yeah, something like that. And the people there, the people in these newly conquered worlds, because there's no fucking war score slider we have to think about here, Paradox. I don't have some fucking galactic rules to follow. Assholes. I digress. We got 5 events. 3 more. Let's keep it moving. Also, if I fuck up reading dice at any point, I think I brought this up in the first video. So it goes. The official historian made a mistake. What do we got? 4 and 2. All right, that's page 2. The Emperor has a vision of the future. Is it a future they would embrace or fear? I have no fucking... Oh, God. He's broken. Does this break him further? What's the vision? Oh, no. I'll be right back. The Emperor has a vision of the future. Is it a future they would embrace or fear? The Emperor during the, what do I call it? Unjust War of Second Aggression? The Second War of, I mean, it's like this entire, like, rulership is taking place during a war. Shortly after the seizure of Kalimdor, the Emperor is plagued by recurring nightmares. We're about to go into like body horror situation. They are of the catalyst and of fungus and of skin no longer his own, of a voice that has never been his own, speaking with authority, with eldritch power, and total cruelty. These episodes leak into his waking life, creating a struggle, resulting in complications. The Imperial household are only partially successful. Or only partially? I could just say partially. Oh, it's right, only partially successful in disguising. Okay. Yeah. I think he reaches out to, how's the word pronounced? Like Niromancers? Like dream interpreters. You know, folks to consult his visions, which is how like the knowledge of these leaks out. Much to the frustration of Mom 1 and Mom 2. It's almost like the power of his blood in his like dreams is reaching out into him, trying to speak through him, through this soft-spoken and misty-eyed bastard. And like these are major events occurring, but it's all just like in short succession that these are happening. Like he's, you know, in his late 20s, you know, having been emperor for a decade at most, and he still is under the thumbs of Mom 1 and Mom 2. But at least he has a happy wife, which means he has a happy life. Right? 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 Let's flip to event 4. Two and 2, that seems like repeat territory to me. A previously unknown alien intelligence offers us assistance in return for a valuable resource. Also, I did not show the dice being rolled there. There you go. They are as I left them. If I move this down, it would take me to 2-3. If I move this up, it would take me to 2-1. We've already seen 2-3, you know, just during, like, this rule. A group of foreign powers suggest a treaty whereby each will be bound to protect the others from invasion. This could guarantee peace for drag us to war. I don't find that too fitting, given that we're currently in a war. And I'm also, if I want to, like, if I had rolled 2-1, I would go with that. But I'm looking to, like, adjust here from 2 and 2. I'll keep 2 and 2. Yeah. It's got to be a previously unknown alien intelligence, which means TLB isn't returning. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we can work with this. All right. One moment while I punch this in. Event 4 of 5. A previously unknown alien intelligence offers us assistance in return for a valuable resource. Five years after the conquest of Kalimdor, the seizure of Kalimdor, the conquest of Kalimdor, the vibrant solar system of Kalimdor, and 15 after the Emperor's rise to the throne. And the war has stalemated. And the war between Cybrixia and the Orion Collective has stalemated. Let's just say had stalemated. Cybrixian vessels could make no further I don't need to add like further detail about like, Cybrixian ships like trying to get in position to bombard and invade other planets. The Orion Collective attempting to like thrust forward into Kalimdor. Shadowy games of intrigue as the OC spies like work to like try and gain access to the intel they crave until the fateful arrival of fateful day. Until the fateful day forever known as the Arconian contact. Organic vessels materialized, shimmered into existence within the homeworld's orbit. And a greater power thrummed and a great power thrummed from the largest of those vessels into every speaker, every caster across the planet. The Arconians craved. What dumb fucking thing do these aliens want from Cybrixia that they can't possibly get anywhere else? Is it the secret of the catalyst? No. I think it's going to be the schematics to the bizarre shadowy weapons. Yeah. They have heard tale of these things. Have heard tale. Have heard of these. How do I wish to frame them? How would they frame them? how would the language be translated? Like, if the Arconian has like some sort of like telepathic communication through like imagery or for like words imprinting upon a mind's eye, like what would the translation be? Like in the human brain's like best like way. Unweapons. Hold on. Let's try that again. Yep. 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 There we go. And wish. Ooh. Wish to acquire the schematics. A collection. And sought to acquire. In exchange, what could they provide? Could they provide, like, I'm thinking, like they could physically assail the, like they could assault the Orion Collective's ships and directly like end the stalemate. Maybe they could provide cloaking technology. Or maybe their offer would destabilize the power structures within Cybrixian society. In exchange, they offered a resolution to a problem which had plagued the Empire. Rexia, since Emperor Clovis. Unreliable navigation machines. Computers. Okay. The Arconians might be doing this for more than the unweapons. They've probably been observing Cybrixia for some time. Why is this alien intelligence meddling like this? Of all the things they could offer, why is it this? And we know that the Empire has the support of this powerful political group, the Via Humanitas. And we know that the Emperor had outlawed any autopiloted craft containing a human. And we can also figure that directive hasn't been terribly enforced since Bran. Will, the tyrant, is probably like, this law is fucking stupid. There are so many other things I care about right now. I give not one single fuck. That's the unofficial stance. Officially, you know, wanting to keep the support of Via Humanitas, but probably always looking for a way to cut them out of power, to solidify himself further. And Kent here speaking with the visions, speaking under the influence of Mom 1 and Mom 2, in a time of war, such as it is, where, you know, all the star vessels that have been destroyed, new experienced navigators can't, like, there's possibly a shortage of them at this point. They offered to fix, to correct, I like the idea of writing this in italics as well. The unreliable navigation computers, which had forced the creation of a navigator caste. The Imperial government, and I'm attempting to shift more to using that phrase, the Imperial government, instead of the Emperor, given, like, the Emperor's, like, broken sobriquet. Perhaps too quickly jumped. I don't want to use, like, seizure again. I like the idea of using the word jump, given the whole jump drive thing. Jumped on the opportunity. This opportunity. And agreed to the Arconians' most reasonable bargain. Public unrest is now on the rise as the Via Humanitas lash out against this betrayal of their beliefs. How much does an individual person care, though? It's difficult to say. I think the further you get away from the homeworld, the more they're like, the fuck do you mean I have to drive my own space car? Fuck this shit. Yeah, okay, that's something we have going on behind the scenes. And now, like, perhaps the Arconians had never met the Light Beacons before, or perhaps they could not broker a deal. Maybe the Light Beacons never wanted the Arconians to have these unweapons. But now the Arconians do have a selection of these unweapons that they can potentially reverse engineer. What will become of that? Well, that's not our problem. War marches on! Now with fewer navigators required. Let's go to the fifth and final event. The Emperor's Rule. Mom 1 and or Mom 2 could be dead by this point. Kent is still the broken. He's still misty-eyed and soft-spoken. Still with his spouse who's just thrilled to be here. Just, you know, doesn't really take her obligations seriously, even in this time of war. Is so supportive and kind toward her husband. Just, you know, a breath of fresh air. Yet he is so plagued. He's so troubled. So haunted. Although I think there's a separate sobriquet for haunted. He's so broken. I can't help you fix yourself, but at least I could say I tried. It's time for me to show the rolling of dice. 2 and 2. Okay. Executive decision. I'm fucking rerolling. Another previously unknown alien intelligence, you know. I still don't like how 2-1 is textured. And 2-3, we've done that. I guess the war could be going even better. No, let's just fucking reroll. Just fucking reroll. 1 in 5. An incredible new technology has been developed. With the Emperor's support, it could transform lives across the Empire forever. Okay. So fucking funny. How many previously unknown alien tells him, I hear you've been making deals with the Arcadians. I hear you have a catalyst. I hear you have shadow weapon. I hear you have navigation computers. We've had the chart our way across this. I hear you have jump drive technology. Oh, shit. One moment. An incredible new technology has been developed. With the Emperor's support, it could transform lives across the Empire forever. Decades have passed since the hot war started. With no sign since the latest war between Cybrixia and the Orion Collective. The Imperial government has only just held onto Kalimdor, while being unable to make any further gains. But all of that looks to change with the unveiling of something new. Of the next big thing. A little bit of sarcasm here from the official historian. Would very well change with the latest development in mil-spec tech. In military technology. Scientists and engineers, engineers and scientists. I like scientists and engineers. Scientists and engineers have successfully elaborated upon, we'll just say successfully created the first prototype cloaking field generator inspired by first contact with the Arconians. The Emperor, perhaps too eagerly? I think I've said, use the perhaps too. The Emperor eagerly throws the Imperial, throws his support upon the mass assembly and assignment of these prototype unreliable, questionable, speculative, untested devices upon the latest starcraft, star vessels, in a hope to bring a swift end, being a quick, I mean, nothing swift or quick is going to be about it, a final resolution to the unjust war of second aggression. The second war of unjust aggression? I've already forgotten how I framed it. The second war of unjust aggression. Okay, what a ride it has been through this rise. With Kent Ravenor the Broken and his two moms holding power of a sort. Prohibiting leaders of the Empire's largest religion from getting a say in important matters. Conquering the vibrant solar system of Kalendor. Of fighting off the recurring nightmares which likely still plague him. Of brokering a deal with the Arconians. Why don't we write down, instead of first contact with the Arconians, the Arconian contact. That's how this event is known. I mean, that's how it's forever known. The Arconian contact. It's not like we can make vessels out of biotissue. I mean, I guess that would be an incredible new technology, but instead, you know, they kind of uncloaked. They decloaked. They just suddenly appeared. How did they do that? What a novel concept that would be if we had like a stealth field generator. Right? That'd be cool. Yep. We'll make that in the one line. No, it's 2 words. We can leave it as 2 lines. Yeah. And the hot war is still ongoing. It has not chilled. It's just that no like new major gains have been had in decades. But it still exists. Like sorties and maneuvers are still being conducted. And this incredible new technology could change the texture of that conflict and bring a final resolution to it. An ultimate resolution, an ending, a conclusion. A favorable conclusion. We'll say that instead of final resolution. A most favorable conclusion. The second war of unjust aggression. Okay. Well, that's the end of the 5 events. Kent has lived a probably personally painful and traumatic life, but the Empire's doing well, even if the bloodline is suffering. We take a look here. The one who will inherit is the only one we have. I forgot we only had the one kid, Cleo. How does Kent die? It's 8 or more that we start rolling on that table, or those potential tables. The death of an emperor is a time of great upheaval. How does Kent go? Five and 4. Kent goes at the hand. Oh. Was it an accident? Was it intentional? I think I'll be able to best decide that when we determine the sobriquet for Cleo. Apparently. Well, not apparently. She may have had enough of her broken father. Maybe he's been a little lost after the deaths of Moms 1 and 2. Or maybe Moms 1 and 2 prepared Cleo for this moment. Oh my god. Oh. Oh jeez. Died at the hands of their successor. Long live Emperor Cleo, says the official historian. Yep. Ahem. Praise be. Praise be. Well, we got only the one legal heir. So Cleo is getting the job. She will be remembered until the end of time. Will she be remembered fondly? Let's find out, shall we? 1 and 3. The diplomat? Okay. I thought about adjusting that. I thought about re-rolling it. But we'll keep it. The diplomat. If I adjusted one a step, it would be the ancient, so Cleo would have you more events if I adjusted down the ill-advised. No. It's not the same as, like, repeating an event. We'll keep the diplomat. She will be known much as, Bran. As a diplomat. We'll, How did she kill her father? From the broken to the diplomat. Known perhaps as well as Bran? Better? Worse? How will the prototype, cloaking field technology be implemented and used? What kind of deals may be brokered? They don't just have to be ones of peace. You could be an effective and capable diplomat and still be engrossed and engaged in war. It could also be ironic. It's like rain. I'm just... If you know, you know. I'm out of here, everyone. Take care. What a journey.